El Hemi is not just a car, it's a family legacy. It's a 1970 Dodge Hemi Challenger R/T that has been in the Escalante family for over 50 years, since it was bought new in Detroit in December 1969. It's a rare and powerful muscle car that has a supercharged 6.2L high-output Hemi V8 engine under the hood, pumping up to 807 horsepower. It's also a survivor that has traveled from the US to Venezuela and back, enduring harsh roads, scarce parts, and political turmoil. In this video, I'm going to show you how El Hemi prepared his Dodge Challenger for the long journey and what challenges he faced on the road. You'll see how he fixed the collision damage, replaced the drive shaft, upgraded the suspension, installed a security alarm, and added some personal touches to his beloved car. You'll also hear some stories of how he raced, crashed, and escaped with his car in Venezuela and how he managed to bring it back to the US after many years of storage. This is not just a car video, it's a tribute to El Hemi and his passion for his Dodge Challenger. In this section, I will share with you how I explored Venezuela's culture, nature, and people, and what I learned from my experience. Venezuela is a diverse and complex country, influenced by the many different people who have made it their home. It has distinctive and original art, literature, and music that reflect its Caribbean context and its historical struggles. One of the first things that caught my attention was the architecture of Venezuela. The capital city, Caracas, has a mix of colonial buildings, modern skyscrapers, and colorful slums. I visited some of the landmarks of the city, such as the Instituto Arnaldo Gabaldon, a national historic landmark that showcases the work of Venezuelan artists, and the Plaza Bolívar, where the statue of the liberator Simón Bolívar stands. I also enjoyed walking around the historic center of Coro, a UNESCO World Heritage Site that preserves the colonial and post-colonial heritage of Venezuela. Another aspect of Venezuelan culture that fascinated me was the literature. I read some of the works of the most famous Venezuelan writers, such as Romulo Gallegos, Teresa de la Parra, and Arturo Uslar Pietri. They wrote about the social and political realities of Venezuela, as well as its diverse landscapes and cultures. I especially liked Gallegos' novel Dona Barbara, which depicts the conflict between civilization and barbarism in the Venezuelan plains. I also learned about Andrés Bello, a poet, educator, and diplomat who was one of the most influential intellectuals in Latin America. Music is another important part of Venezuelan culture. I listened to some of the traditional folk music of Venezuela, such as joropo, gaita, and merengue. The national musical instrument is the cuatro, a four-stringed guitar that accompanies the singing and dancing. Some of the most popular songs are Alma Lanera, Florentino y el Diablo, and Caballo Viejo. I also enjoyed some of the contemporary music genres, such as salsa, rock, and reggaeton. I went to some concerts and clubs where I danced and had fun with the locals. But Venezuela is not only about culture. It is also a country blessed with natural beauty and diversity. I traveled to different regions of Venezuela, each with its own climate and landscape. I visited the Andean Mountains, where I saw snow-capped peaks, green valleys, and colorful flowers. I also explored the Llanos, or plains, where I saw vast grasslands, rivers, and wildlife. I was amazed by the Guiana Highlands, where I witnessed some of the most spectacular natural wonders in the world, such as Angel Falls, the highest waterfall in the world, and Mount Roraima, a flat-topped mountain that inspired Arthur Conan Doyle's novel The Lost World. But my favorite place in Venezuela was the Caribbean coast. There I enjoyed some of the most beautiful beaches in the world, with white sand, turquoise water, and palm trees. I also visited some of the islands off the coast, such as Margarita Island, Los Roques Archipelago, and La Tortuga Island. There I did some snorkeling, diving, and surfing. I also saw some amazing marine life, such as dolphins, turtles, and coral reefs. But what made my trip to Venezuela unforgettable was not only its culture and nature, but also its people. Venezuelans are warm, welcoming, and open people who love to share their culture and their stories with visitors. They are also proud of their country and their identity. They have a strong sense of fairness and equality that comes from their history of fighting for independence and democracy. They are also resilient and optimistic in spite of the economic and political challenges they face. I learned a lot from my interactions with Venezuelans. They taught me about their traditions, their values, and their beliefs. They also taught me about their joys, their sorrows, and their hopes. They showed me their generosity, their hospitality, and their friendship. They made me feel at home in their country. I can say that my trip to Venezuela was one of the most enriching experiences of my life. I discovered a country full of culture, nature, and people that surprised me every day. I also learned a lot about myself and about the world. I am grateful for having had this opportunity to visit Venezuela and to share it with you.